Hello, football faithful. Welcome back to another episode of the Double Doink Podcast. My name is Brenden. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. You can also rate the podcast and review the podcast wherever you do listen to your podcast. It would also be greatly appreciated. We have a very special guest today. I am talking to Super Bowl champion and former tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles, Chicago Bears, and Indianapolis Colts. Trey Burton is with us. Trey, how we doing?
Doing well, bro. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for taking the time. Greatly appreciate it. So I kind of want to start here. What has Trey Burton been up to? Where are you living right now? Are you back at home in Florida?
Yeah, man. Yeah, my family and I live in Tampa, and haven't been doing much. Honestly, been trying to enjoy my time as a dad and be as active as I can. My kids' sporting events and school and those types of things. But just been hanging out. We've been having some good weather. It's the cold front starting to kick in. First one of the year. In the 50s, high 40s, low 50s right now. So a little chilly, but just been enjoying my time down here.
Trey, I live in Canada. Okay, so do you want to know how much snow is outside my door right now?
I do not want to know. I can tell you that.
So you should be blessed to be living in Florida, that's for sure. But are you staying in shape, and are you looking to come back to the NFL?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm in shape. Always listening to opportunities, and we'll see what happens. Going into next year.
Okay, so I kind of want to start in your high school days because you started off as a quarterback, and
I did, yeah.
you played quarterback in high school, and you were signed to Florida as kind of an athlete style prospect. Did you always want to be a quarterback? Was that kind of the goal from day one?
Yeah, I mean, so my freshman year, I started on varsity as a safety, and then we were really bad, and the coach was basically like, "Let's try to put like one of our best athletes at quarterback, and let's see what happens." And that's kind of how I became a quarterback. Yeah, I wanted to always be a quarterback, but I realized once I got to Florida that my arm talent wasn't as good as the average guy, and especially in the SEC in college football. And so, and then that was at the same time as I was realizing that Urban basically was like, "Hey, I want you to do a little bit of everything." And so, but yeah, long story short, I would still love to be a quarterback. They'd be able to touch the ball every single play and basically control what happens. It's fun.
So how did the transition to tight end come about?
We were in. So there's two quarterbacks on scholarship my freshman year at Florida. It was myself and John Brantley. John Brantley was a senior, and I think he was the number one quarterback in his draft class. But he was behind Tebow for his whole career, and so he was going to get the starting job. Deserved a starting job. He was a really good quarterback. And training camp, first one, probably its third or fourth weekend, Urban busted into the quarterback meeting room at like 10 o'clock at night, and was like. And I mean, I'm a freshman, bro. I'm dead. Week 3 of training camp. I have no clue what's going on. Delirious. And I just remember him like busting through the door, and I'm like shocked. He's like, "Hey, Trey, you're too athletic to not be playing on the field for us on Saturdays. We need you to change positions and do a little bit of everything. So it's starting tomorrow morning. You're going to be in the tight end room and moving to the running back room and in the wide receiver room, and we're going to get all that figured out." And then like closes the door and walks out. I was like, okay, so here we go. That's what we're gonna be doing.
I love it. Did you kind of like it right away? Like, did you fall in love with the position, or did you kind of have some second thoughts at the beginning?
It sucks, bro. It sucks. Going from never getting hit, like that's what people don't realize. Like the physicality part of not being at every other position except for quarterback. Going from never being hit except for game days to like having to hit every single day. Doing that at a college level puts a big toll on your body. Maybe like in Pop Warner in high school, it's a little bit different, but everybody they know that you're a quarterback, and they know that you don't really know how to hit, so they're seeking you to try to hit you, and they're taking advantage of it.
Yeah, well, going from like off style to just right in the right on the line, right beside a tackle, like it's probably a crazy transition.
It sucks.
Alrighty, let's talk about 2017, Trey. I want to start in training camp here. So I remember the buzz kind of surrounding Carson Wentz at training camp. He looked different. He was buzzing. You guys were the offense was clicking. I remember just the beat writers and reporters were kind of talking about it. Did you know, kind of in training camp, did you know that there was something special here?
And you talking about the Super Bowl season?
Yeah,
or the year before that.
Yeah, no, 2017 Super Bowl. Not training camps. So I guess Carson's second season. Did you know it started clicking kind of in training camp?
I mean, everybody feels good during training camp. Like every team I've been on, everybody thinks they have a chance to win a championship in training camp. So yeah, I mean, was it abnormal. I mean, I don't know if I would say it was abnormally, excitement, but no, we definitely knew we had a good team, and there's a lot of things that have to happen in order for you to make it to the very end.
So week 3, I feel like is kind of when the train track started going. Okay, you guys I think won off 9 in a row after that Giants game. Jake Elliott comes in week 2 was his first game. How different did it kind of go when he hits that kick in week 3? Did you guys like know him very well? Because I think he was just signed about a week before that, correct?
Yeah, no one really knew him. So week 3 we played the Giants week 3, and then we played City week 4.
Week 4, I'd have to double check. I can't remember exactly who played week 4, but I know you guys ripped off 9 in a row after week 3, after that Giants kick.
Maybe we played Kansas City week 2. I thought
Kansas City was week 2. Yeah, Kansas City was week 2.
Yeah, that's what it was. So, because Kansas City, I think, was supposed to be pretty good that year, and I remember it was a pretty close game. We beat ourselves. There was a couple mistakes. I think we had a turnover on offense, and then we did something on defense where they had like a long run play or a long pass play that we shouldn't have gave up. I think after that, we knew we were pretty good. And anytime you have to go into Kansas City when Kansas City's rolling, it's tough to play. It's a tough place to play. But yeah, after that Giants win, it was just like we had a ton of confidence, going into the next couple of weeks. And anytime you can win a game like that, I mean, that was absolutely nuts. I'll never forget that the rest of my life.
Did that bet that Jason Peters said, he's like, if I believe he said if don't miss his kick, to kind of like pressure him into it on the sidelines. If I don't recall.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he said something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so Trey, you were part like that team. Like I kind of look back on it, like that tight ends room was stacked. Like you, Brent, Celek, Zach Ertz. What did you kind of take away from playing with those guys?
Man, I was so fortunate, dude. During my time in Philly, all 4 years I was there. All 3 of us were there, and like you might have 2 guys stay, for 4 years, maybe, but like the fact that you had 3 guys for 4 years, man, we just loved being around each other. Like you can get tired of people, people can get old, or you can get annoyed with people, bro. Like I never sensed any of that. Like we're still boys to this day. I talked to Zach and Celek, I wouldn't say daily, but once or twice a month just to check in. And we had such a special relationship. I think it all started with Celek. He was so unselfish. He was probably one of the most unselfish players in the history of the Eagles, man. Like he was willing to do anything. If you wanted him to be on punt team, he'd be on punt team. If you wanted to be on punt return, like, I mean, literally whatever the coaches asked, that's what he did. And so I think, with him being unselfish, and then it kind of trickled down on Ertz, when Ertz was there, his rookie year, and then it trickled down on me. But I was more of a guy, like Ertz was a high draft pick. I wasn't a high draft pick. I was more of like, I hope I'm here. I'm going to try to make it. Whereas Ertz was like, no, I'm going to be here. So I think Ertz and Celek's relationship could have been the rocky one, just because of like Ertz is supposed to be the next guy and Celek was supposed to, move on his way out. But I think that just shows the character of Celek, of not necessarily being threatened and like seeing Ertz as like a companion, like, oh, him and I together could be legit, And so I just kind of followed their lead, and man, they took me under their wing, bro. And everything I know, from a tight end standpoint is from Ertz and Celek, and even James Casey, who was there my rookie year. It was just a really special group, led by a great coach in Justin Peele, who's now in Atlanta, coaching Kyle Pitts, the Gator tight end. And so everything was just perfect, perfect scenario for all of us.
You have a good Brent Celek story? I feel like he's an under-talked about Eagle of all time.
Man, Brent is a legend. There's so many stories, I can't, nothing that like immediately pops up that I want to share on the podcast, but I mean, he just goes out of his way to be a great guy, in all aspects of life.
Okay, so I believe it was week 14 against the LA Rams. I could be wrong. I have to, I don't know the exact week, but week 14, Carson Wentz goes down. You had a monster game. Again, I feel like people forget that as well. You had 2 touchdown performance. What kind of went through your head? When did you find out that Carson Wentz tore his ACL?
Probably right after he did it, because he walked off the sideline, and I think that was like the very beginning of like the medical tents that they would put up and pop up tents, whatever. And so he went in there, and when he came out with Dom, who's head of security, and we were all like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he's like, "It's not looking pretty good." But I definitely didn't know he did it when he scored, and I definitely didn't know he did it during the 2-point conversion, which is nuts. That he was just standing out there with a messed up knee. But no, that probably after the play, we all got to the sideline when the defense was out there.
Did the team kind of feel it? Like, was there kind of a different feeling in the locker? Did it kind of feel like, oh my God, the season could be over, or did none of that kind of hit in your guys' minds?
Well, I think I don't really think so because we had just clinched a playoff berth. Maybe we might have clinched something important. Maybe the NFC East.
The
That
NFC
game.
East was clinched that game. Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So we clinched the NFC East. So we were really celebrating about that. Obviously, keeping Carson in the back of our minds. But I mean, we knew we had Foles, as well, that could help and step in and do what he did. Obviously, not at the level that he did do it, but we knew obviously Foles was a great player and could play at a high level. So, but you hate it for Carson. I mean, he was guaranteed. I mean, I would have put every dollar I had on him winning the MVP of the NFL that season. And he played so well at such a high level.
Okay, the celebrations that year, I feel like that also comes to mind. Who was the choreographic? Who created all these celebrations? I believe there was one. I feel like, I don't know if I'm just imagining this, but wasn't there one where you guys sat down at the fire celebrate? I believe you scored a touchdown. Was it you?
Yeah, that was when we played the Giants. That was like after the Rams game.
Yeah. So who choreographed that one?
It was me, honestly. It was a spur of the moment. I was wide open. It was
spur of the moment. You just brought it just right when you scored it. It wasn't like pre-planned.
Well, it's cold as heck. We were playing in New York, bro. It's freezing. And so I remember I was wide open, and I just remember just catching the ball, and I'm pretty good at spinning it. Like I do it with my kids all the time, and they love when I do that. And I just sat down and did the fire. But no, I think it all started with Doug Peterson. Like he was so open to letting us. His biggest thing was like, be you, like do what you do, and he was really open about letting us celebrate. And so Alshon and Torrey Smith like went full head of steam forward. Every time someone scored, they're doing a celebration. But it was fun.
I got the electric slide in Chicago come by. Whose idea was that one? Is that was an all-time? That was an all-time.
No, that was a defensive one. So if I had to guess, I think it was like Najee Good was he was the one who messed it up. He was one who screwed up the dance. It was probably Malcolm Jenkins or Rodney McLeod. Those were probably the two guys that set it up.
It's funny. Okay. Trey Burton, Philly special here. We got to dive into this. How did this play come together? Whose idea was it? When did you find out about it?
I think Press Taylor, who he's now, I think he's in Indy as a quarterback coach, but he was a quality control in Philly. And I guess Press's job, because we had a first round bye for the playoffs that year, and so Press's job was kind of like to find one or two or three trick plays that we could potentially run and practice just in case we need it, and put it in the back of our bag, and so or the bottom of our bag, and so practice week of the bye week during the first round of playoffs is when we kind of put it in. And, you're going to hear a lot of stories about it didn't look good. It didn't look pretty, but obviously it looked good enough and pretty enough for us to call it, later on. But usually I knew, or I had an idea of when the opportunity was, for it to be called. It has to be like a specific, inside the 4 or 5 yard line and, on the left hash, and there's a bunch of things that go into it. But when they called it, I had no clue that they were going to call it.
When were you always the one throwing the ball? Did they practice anyone else tossing it? Okay. So Nick Foles comes off the sideline, he goes into the huddle, and he goes, Philly special. Does it like kind of click in your mind like, holy, like this could be like an all-time Super Bowl moment? Like, did that even kind of cross your mind at that time?
Honestly, no, not at all. I had no clue. No, I was one of the guys in the huddle I don't think he really knew what Foles said because it was kind of loud in the end zone. And so I was just trying to like yell and like say what Foles said and call it on the play. And I mean, next thing I know, I had the ball snapped and I had the ball in my hand, and Foles was wide open.
Was that ball a little heavier? The ball feel a tad heavier? No.
I think if I would have had time, like if they would have told me, before they called a timeout, they'd been like, hey, because I was on the sideline before they called a timeout. Hey, we're going to run the Philly special. And I had like the whole timeout to think about it. And then, had to go into the huddle. I think I probably would have screwed it up. But since it happened so fast and we were like late to get the personnel in and we're late to break the huddle and, the clock was kind of winding down, there's like a lot of rush factors that were probably on for my benefit, But yeah, if I would have had time to think about it, I mean, who knows what would have happened.
So I know like the Philly special, obviously like it was one of the craziest plays in Super Bowl history and you were the quarterback of it. Is there another play maybe in that Super Bowl game or just in 2017 in general that like you think about all the time, maybe besides the Philly special, like that's a moment that you will never forget, or a moment that that will go with you forever? Just not this Philly special because you were that everyone talks about, an under talked about play that no one brings up in your mind.
Man, The Corey Clement catch, obviously in the Super Bowl, was just absolutely ridiculous. The throw and the catch. I think in the Minnesota game, there were we did so many good things on offense, and obviously we routed them. But like the flea flicker to Torrey Smith, I mean, dude, the throw and the catch on that was just dumb. Even, I mean, fast forward to the Super Bowl, Alshon's touchdown was ridiculous, man. The throw, Foles is just on fire. There's so many really good memories, about it. The way we were able to run the ball, how dominant we were from an offensive line standpoint. There was just a lot of things, I kind of think about outside of, that play.
Okay, last question here, Trey. So let's fast forward to today. You played under Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, what are the Eagles players getting from him, and what did you learn from him when you were in Indy?
Man, he's a rock star, a great coach. I think he's just going to continue to do a better and better. I mean, the fact that they made the playoffs this year, with everything against them, for the most part, he just does a phenomenal job of rallying the guys around. He's a really good play caller. He's brought some great coaches with him, from Indy to, kind of help him out. And I think he's going to do a really good job from here on out. You never know. First year is always such a crapshoot, especially because the majority of guys aren't his dudes, on the roster. And so I think he's going to do a lot better job in the draft than the Eagles have done before in the past, because the Eagles have been absolutely horrible in the draft, over the last 15 years or 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so I hope that he gets more of an opportunity to get his guys in there, and make a name for himself and pick the guys he wants.
Philadelphia Eagles legend and Super Bowl champion Trey Burton. Trey, thank you so much for taking the time here. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, bro. Talk to you soon.